Hi and welcome to the Popcorn Junkies. We are about to do a trailer reaction to a film called Enys Men. That's how you pronounce it. It's written Enys Men, as in men, but it's pronounced Enys Men. And in Cornish, I think it means Stone Island. And this is a film by Mark Jenkin, a Cornish filmmaker, who made a brilliant movie called Bait, I think about 2 or 3 years ago. Really grainy, black and white film about a fisherman, about a town, a fishing village that was essentially being overrun by, or it was being overrun by tourists or second homeowners. It had a sort of dark sort of visceral sort of feel to it. It was kind of really grainy. The audio was incredibly abrasive. He used sort of old-fashioned, I think, wind-up clockwork kind of cameras to kind of film. It was like avant-garde filmmaking of the 60s and 70s brought up to date. So he's an incredibly innovative, interesting filmmaker. He's incredibly embedded within Cornish culture, Cornish heritage, the Cornish landscape. And I think he kind of, with that film Bait, he kind of threw a spotlight over, for those of us who love Cornwall but don't come from Cornwall, he threw an enormous spotlight over the dichotomy, or the conflict at the heart of a county like Cornwall, which is, the sort of unsettling bedfellow that Cornish people, I guess, have in terms of tourism. The idea that tourists bring an enormous amount of money into the county, but at the same time they are slowly eroding Cornish culture and a Cornish way of life, from Cornish language to Cornish customs to Cornish communities, industry, all that kind of stuff. It's my favourite part of the country, and in a curious way, I find, I don't know if we have any Cornish followers here, I almost love Cornwall, but feel guilty about loving Cornwall. I feel guilty about travelling to Cornwall. I feel guilty about staying in Cornwall because I seem, reluctantly, our own journeys there and our own trips there are almost part of the problem. It's that idea of vandals and sandals. Tourism always ends up destroying the place that it loves or is drawn to. And so anyway, this is Cornish through and through. And this new film, Enys Men, I think, obviously we're about to watch the trailer, but I think it pivots around and focuses on a woman who is on a stone island in her own head. It's kind of being described as a kind of folk horror type thing, but my sense of it, reading the sort of blurb and synopses that are knocking around on the internet, is that it's more a sort of portrait of the kind of rather sinister places that we can go to if left within our own heads. And my God, do I have first-hand experience of that. Sometimes there's nothing more unsettling, creepy, disturbing, untrustworthy and troubling than simply being in one's head. Some of the scariest shit can happen in there. So what not to like? An island in Cornwall, or off Cornwall, I guess, Cornish perhaps, a woman on her own, struggling with a mental kind of state of mind. Shot through, I guess we're gonna find out. Shot, I would have thought, in a kind of lo-fi, grainy, almost organic kind of celluloid fashion. I think Mark Jenkin, the director, is very interested in the organic nature of film and the way, almost the very sort of molecular structure of celluloid and film passing through a camera and all that kind of stuff, which, if you think about it, combined with the Cornish landscape, is a match made in heaven, isn't it? Let's face it. So let's check out this trailer. Let's see what it throws up for us. I'm excited about this. I really, really loved Bait. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And he rightly, the director, I think, was nominated or won, I think, various BAFTAs or a BAFTA for the film.
Not really.
there's something. Oh, I'll tell you what I liked about that. Obviously, the graininess of the film, the visions, the staccato kind of rigid kind of editing, using static shots rather than sort of tracking moving shots and all that kind of stuff. It feels like it's in the 1970s. Presumably, so many of these things that she's seeing are visions, and so they're going to be manifestations and projections from her own mind. I was getting the Lighthouse vibes. Obviously, that's the film in which two men go to a lighthouse, Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and slowly go mad. Madness is ensuing. Fantasies abound, and you've got that sound. You've just got that authentic sound of wind and echoiness, and because of the grain of the film and the kind of rocks and the dust and the sea and all that kind of stuff, really unsettling, and in a weird way even more sort of Wicker Man-esque, even more unsettling, because it feels like an artifact already from the 70s, like something we've stumbled across and found now from then, and that makes it even eerier. I'm also getting feelings of the director who did Barbarian Sound Studio. I think he's done a number of other films since, hasn't he, which are particularly odd and have that sort of enforced, kind of slightly constricted framing. Is it 4x5 or So it kind of makes it more claustrophobic and of its time. What do you think, guys? I think that was kind of intriguing. It was kind of unsettling. It was kind of exciting.